Kashmir has always been a point of contention between both Pakistan and India even before independence from Britain in 1947. Under the partition plan stipulated in the Indian Independence Act, Kashmir was free to choose to join India or Pakistan. At that time, its ruler, Hari Singh, chose India, so war broke out in 1947 and lasted for 2 years. Kashmir entered the stage of conflict between India and Pakistan, and another war began in 1965, while India fought a short, but bitter conflict with Pakistan-backed forces in 1999. At that time, both India and Pakistan declared themselves nuclear powers. Most of the people of the territory in Kashmir do not like to live under the administration of India, but rather independence or union with Pakistan. Muslims in the Indian-administered states of Jammu and Kashmir make up more than 60% of the population, making it the only state within India with a Muslim majority. The aggravation of the problem led to high rates of unemployment and complaints of human rights violations by the security forces, which confronted demonstrators and rebels in the streets. Cases of violence began to appear in the state since 1989, but the wave of violence was renewed in 2016 after the killing of the militant leader Burhan Wani, who was 22 years old, and was widely popular among the younger generation in social media, and was widely considered to be behind the state of extremism in the region. He was killed in a battle with security forces, which triggered a wave of massive demonstrations in the area. Since then, violence has increased in the state, especially after about 30 people who had attended his funeral in his hometown, Srinagar, were killed following clashes between them and the security forces. In 2018, more than 500 civilians, security forces, and militants were killed, the highest number of casualties in a decade. Is there a glimmer of hope for peace? In 2003, India and Pakistan agreed to a ceasefire after many years of bloody conflict, along the de facto border between the two countries, known as the Line of Control. Pakistan later promised to stop funding the rebels in the region if India pardons them if they abandon militancy. In 2014, a new Indian government came to power and approved tough measures against Pakistan, while at the same time showing its willingness to engage in peace talks. Nawaz Sharif, then Prime Minister of Pakistan, attended the swearing-in ceremony with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in Delhi. But a year later, India blamed Pakistan-based groups for an attack on its air base in Pathankot in northern Punjab state. Modi cancelled a then-scheduled visit to the Pakistani capital, Islamabad, for a regional summit in 2017. Since then, there has been no progress in talks between the two neighbors. Back to square one? 2016 was a year full of conflict and violence in the Indian-administered Kashmir, and hopes for a lasting peace waned. In 2018, Modi's Party Janata Party withdrew from a coalition government run by the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Since then, the Indian section of Kashmir is under direct rule from Delhi, which has led to increased tension between the two countries. On February 26, India launched airstrikes on Pakistani soil, which it said targeted militant bases. Pakistan denied that the raids had caused any major damage or casualties, but promised to respond. The next day, it said it had shot down 2 Indian Air Force planes in its airspace. Timeline of tension between India and Pakistan. In October 1947, the first war between India and Pakistan over Kashmir, just 2 months after their independence from Britain. August 1965, the two countries fought a short but bitter war over Kashmir. December 1971, India backed a war in East Pakistan, which was seeking independence, that ended with the creation of Bangladesh. May 1999, Pakistani soldiers and fighters tried to infiltrate Indian military positions in the Kargil Mountains, but India responded with air and ground raids and successfully expelled them. October 2001, a devastating attack by Pakistan on the State Assembly in India-controlled Kashmir kills 38 people, and 2 months later, a second attack on the Indian Parliament in Delhi kills 14 people. November 2008 organized attacks on Mumbai's main railway station, luxury hotels, and Jewish cultural center killed 166 people. India blamed the Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba group. January 2016, the 4-day attack on the Indian Air Base in Pathankot killed 7 Indian soldiers and 6 militants. September 18, 2016, an attack on an Indian Army base in Uri in Kashmir, the part of the Indian administration, killed 19 soldiers. On September 30, 2016, India said it had carried out strikes on militants in Kashmir, the part of the Pakistani administration, but the latter denied any strikes. October 6, Indian Army shoots and kills 3 suspected militants as they try to enter an army camp in North Kashmir. November 2016, Human Rights Watch calls for an end to the burning of schools in Indian-administered Kashmir, after the total number of fires lit since the outbreak of pro-separatist unrest in July reached 25. November 2016, thousands of villagers are evacuated in Pakistan-controlled Kashmir after violence escalates, after 7 Pakistani soldiers were killed in an exchange of fire between India and Pakistan along the line of contact. May 2017, thousands defy a curfew in Indian-administered Kashmir to attend the funeral of guerrilla leader Sabtar Ahmed Butt. July 2017, violent clashes erupted in Indian-administered Kashmir on the anniversary of the death of combatant leader Burhan Wani. July 2017, gunmen attack Hindu pilgrims, killing at least 7 and wounding 16, in the worst such attack since 2000. August 2019, the Indian government strips Jammu and Kashmir of the special status that granted it significant autonomy. August 2020, imposed a curfew in Indian